Hello and welcome. My name's James Busby. Okay, so super simple. This is my mum, by the way. So it's super simple. Do a little horseshoe section. I love horseshoe sections because they just get all the bulk and the excess out of the way. So doing a center profile section, diagonal forward sections just to get a little bit of the hair out of the way, keep it nice and simple. Now this haircut is mainly done with texturizing scissors, and the reason I've done that is to take the weight and the bulk out of the ends of the hair, okay? It's a basic one length haircut with just a little bit of an added special part to it. So just going in, as you can see, zooming in, and that just takes that real heaviness and just overall weight out the ends, just to soften it and give it a little bit more of a movement. So kind of like a modern straight haircut really. And you can see, just comb it all through, super simple, right? Super simple. Obviously you can't do it on everyone's hair, but like I say, it's my mum. Her hair is very thick, very strong, almost like Mediterranean-esque hair. So this is perfect. You don't want to overdo it and take too much weight out, but just do the sort of couple of inches of the ends, it works really well. It makes it a lot more manageable for her. So yeah, so this afterwards, to see I've done that, and then literally just blunt cutting it off to tidy it up. And because you've taken that excess weight away, you can go through after, like I'm doing, taking that, blunting it off just through the comb, and you won't get that real like heavy, bulky line when you dry it. You'll see when we dry it later that it just like softens in really nicely, sits really beautifully and just has a nice silhouette to it. So yeah, a little zoom in there just to see like what's going on. Pretty good. So yeah, a couple more diagonal forward sections. Really nice and simple. Like, I don't take little sections. I like to keep everything as sort of minimalist as possible. So back in straight with the texturizing scissors. If you notice with the texturizing scissors, I'm not using the whole load of them and proper like chomping like that. It's just kind of the edges, the edge of them, just to take away that part, okay? And this can be quite scary for some people and even for clients as well. You know, if you start going at people's hair and doing this, a lot of people will freak out. But then this is where you come down to the communication aspect and explain to people, you know, exactly what you're doing and why it's going to benefit them. Okay, you've got to assess the hair and work out what needs to be done. So again, like on the sides, pulling that through, texturizing the ends, and I just usually leave a little bit of an angle, so I just angle it down ever so slightly, just so I don't want it too heavy and sort of coming up. Sometimes with some people's hair, if it's quite thick like this, it can jump up at the front. So by slightly angling it, you've always got a little bit of hair left over for the length, where afterwards, if you want to, you can take it away. But again, if you take too much off, then you can't take it away. It's always good to leave that little bit more as a backup. So same the other side, going through, taking that angle, taking that edge away. So really working at the weight first of all. The weight and the texture is everything. You get that right first, and then the other part of the finishing is done quite easily. Yeah, super zoom in there just to see what's going on. Just take that real bulk away. Yeah, it's great. And this is good as well because like around the shoulders, a lot of people's hair gathers in that area and really thickens up and gets quite heavy and can sit not very well for them. So in terms of like styling for like my mum, like I say, in terms of her styling her own hair, this makes her hair a lot more manageable. But yeah, thick to like medium hair is good for this. Obviously you want to do this only with fine hair. You've got to work out, you know, who it fits and does, but that's it. So yeah, clean that line up, really lovely. Now, yeah, to the top, so drop that horseshoe down. So we've digested the haircut up. I've taken that horseshoe away, we've done all that sort of section. Now you can drop the part down, and then I find where her parting goes, which is always just off the center to the left. And then we're going through, and this is where it's, you know, you're doing a bit of a soft layer by pulling it straight out parallel, pulling it straight out parallel 90 degrees to the head, okay? And just taking that ever so slightly corner off. So it is still a one length layer with a tiny bit of a layer in it, but that just gives that little bit of movement. It has that one length feel, just a little bit of softness. Sometimes most people, they'll come in and say like, oh, I just want a one length haircut, which is fine. And really what they're saying is, I don't want layers. So once you explain to them, actually, yeah, you do want a one length haircut, but by doing this, yes, it is a layer, but it will make a big difference to how your hair sits. It's all those little tiny details in a haircut that make it work really, really well. And again, like, you know, you don't have to do this on everyone, but you have to assess it. And if someone's hair you've done that's really, really thick and like they want a one length and there's too much styling involved afterwards, this could work really, really well for them. And again, if you get it right, they'll be able to manage it well and it will reflect on you really, really well. And again, it's a simple haircut. It doesn't need overdoing. It's just enough to pull it in and pull it together, really. So yeah, work through the whole of the side of those. Once you drop that section down, work through the whole side of it, pulling it straight out parallel and just taking those edges away. Now working towards the front, so has a very slight shape. I always pull that straight forward and then create a very, very soft angle. So you'll see it'll zoom in, there you go, zooming in there, and you're just literally cutting up, always cutting up with fringes, because sometimes if you cut down, you can take too much away from the corner. So if you start at the longest point, you come up like this, that works really, really well. And that just takes that kind of, sometimes if you cut the front, you can create a bit of a wedge. So like I say, cutting up like that just stops that problem from happening, okay? Same the other side, join it in from the fringe of the shortest point you've cut, which you can see there. So I'm just meeting it up there to the other part. So you know that's got a nice balance, a nice even shape. That work's done. So when you dry that, you can see it will fall really beautifully. And you only need to do a tiny bit once it's dry just to finish it. Yeah, awesome. Looks really good. Obviously I cut it, so I'm gonna say that. But yeah, so we're dropping that down. Dropping all the section down. And again, like not too many sections, pulling it straight out of the back, nice and square, 90 degrees from the head, and literally not really thinning out that too much or texturizing it, just literally point cutting the edges just to create that little bit of movement, that little bit of shape. So when we go to dry it, it just has a very, very soft texture through the end. So it's a modern straight haircut, basically, one length. Really nice, square, simple shape. Okay, and again, you don't want to mess around, like I say, with too many sections. Just, you know, keep it tidy, keep it neat, follow what you're doing, make sure you've got a guideline in there, but you know, you don't have to waste your time, to get it done. Okay, your time's precious and you want to get it done, get it finished. Okay, so we just switch those out of the way. So this is where I take some of the weight out, texturize it. So I go through, and you'll see I'll probably slow this down in a minute, take my texturizer and scissors, I weave it out like you would a foil, and then you go through and just take that real bulk out the back. Now most people's weight in their hair sits through that part of their hair. Okay, that's where most people's does. So I know some people that can like clipper that part out completely, but on my mum's hair, I just take a fair bit of weight away. So from a profile section, it sits really nice and clean. It doesn't stick out, and that just works really, really well. You can use this in any haircut of someone that's got lots of weight. Sometimes when people think they need a haircut, they don't need to cut too much off, they just need to remove bulk and add a little bit of texture. So it's you really looking at it and thinking, right, actually this will fix your problem and help you manage your hair. They'll come back and they'll be like, this is amazing, it's worked really well, it reflects on you really well, and you've done something different than the conventional, I need to just do a haircut. Yeah, so weaving that out again, taking that real bulk away, and you can see like it's working it into the hair, it's starting to sit quite well, you can really focus on when it's wet and what it's doing. So yeah, weave it out and then just point cut that in. Yeah, just like that. Okay, you can do this on curly hair as well. It works really, really well on curly hair. Just be careful not to overdo it, because if you overdo it, you can cause too much frizz. But you can weave it out, put some texturizing scissors through, and if the person's got the right hair and they're going to style it a certain way, it works really, really well. So again, pointing in, cut that out, it's great. And then just pull that weight through. Make sure you sort of pull it out with your comb, and you can see that density there balances out. Great, and then just speeding up a bit because you guys have seen an awful lot of that. And you can see that takes that real bulk away. Working that product into the hair, so I just used a little bit of a Redken anti-frizz serum just to lock it in and add a little bit of strength, softness, no flyaways, no frizz. So blow drying, always, everything with blow drying, it's heat and tension, okay? That's all you need to do. So a flat Denman brush, and I'm literally just softly blowing it in. And you'll see now by where I did that cutting earlier that softens those ends, that you'll see how it sits a little bit more finished. Sometimes if you just cut it one length, especially on hair like this, it will still have a bit of a bulk to it, which you don't want. So just by really putting that tension in, softening it out, you can really bulk it through. And I coloured my mum's hair as well, but I didn't stupidly get enough images of it or video footage of it, but next time I will, I'll put that up. But cutting is more of the detail for it, so a bit more to explain with that. So yeah, so just going through the whole of the blow dry, really. That's it. Heat and tension, nice and simple. Very, very curly, strong hair. Like naturally, if it's left, it would go really quite wavy. So you got a lot to sort of work with and pull it down. But you can see like how well that starts to sit now by just taking that edge away. Just gives that really nice silhouette, and it helps it sit and be finished really nicely. Yeah, and just gives it that little bit of movement and a little bit of life. Because if this hair, if you just cut it all one length, it would lack that kind of element to it. So I always work with like trying to make things as sort of natural as possible and putting a little bit of life and luster back into them. So yeah, working through, blow drying it in. Nice and simple. Again, look, see, sits really well. Got a nice clean line. And you can see the details in there. Yeah, it looks good. It's nice to sit and watch it. Okay, so you can see that finish there at the front. Now this, I always wrap dry the fringes. So wrap drying is when you take your brush and you go side to side at the roots. And what that does is that gets rid of any kinks, any imbalances, and helps it sit nice and soft and nice and flush. If you wrap dry anyone's hair, especially fringes, you will make a huge difference to how their hair sits. It's very simple to teach someone how to do it, especially a client. And once they learn how to do that properly, they'll be a lot more confident in asking for different types of fringes and shape at the front because they know they can handle it, they know they can blow dry it. So I'd always recommend showing people how to wrap dry hair. And you can see it just helps it sit really nice and softly. It gives it that nice sort of flow to the hair. Okay, so now it's going to cut the fringe. So like I said earlier, I'd already done it, but through there, and that's it, just cutting those edges off, cleaning that sort of line up so it sits nice and clean and blends in with the haircut. Yeah, great, cool. And I think that's pretty much the end of the haircut. So yeah, there we go, that's it. Done, that's the talk through. So, that's the end of the video. If you liked it, you enjoyed it, and you want to see more of it, please leave me a like down below, subscribe to the channel, and any sort of information or anything you want to leave in the comments, it'd be great. Any recommendations, more stuff you want to see, any information, I always get back to people and answer. So that's it, that's the first video I've put up. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. Thank you very much. Goodbye.